Parasocial Don Benitez. Just Danger says this chat be crazing up. The chat? Here? What are you saying? Joel says gun trip from care package back to back. Oh, that's awesome. Ronan says, hey Levin, wanna kiss and make out tonight? I don't know if he does. Levin says you make it excited, Don. Okay, I'm glad. JK says 10 p.m. Alright, and I see the new mugshot. Lucas says, nah bro, already 4 seconds late. Well, I'm here now. It's Vox, says Don. Hello, it's Vox. The Ultimate says, how are you? I'm good. Tree Monkey says, I'm gay. Why am I so gay? I don't know. I don't think it's something to be ashamed about. By the way, thank you again to those super chats last stream. Ollie says hi. Hello, Ollie. Ollie, yeah. The Shepherd says, love you, bro. Thank you. Not Quite says, how are you this fine nightfall? I'm just normal. Spider says, tongue. Okay. Defin says, hello, Don, my wifey. Hello, Defin. Joel says, my stream did not auto-refresh. This is very upsetting. Oh, that's annoying. Queenie says, hey, Don, remember me? I'm in hospital for a suicide attempt. Well, I'm glad you're still here with us. Banana says, do you support the vegan teacher? Sure. Sophia says, what's up, Don? Hello, Sophia. Tree says, I'm not tongue to her. I'm tongue to here because I'm always here. For the past 2 streams, I guess so. Pick says, Zuzu for life. What? JK says, hi bro, was my message first? No, it wasn't. It was one of the first, though. Nightmare says, you remember me? I do. Smooth says, how do you feel about people that have AI girlfriends? It's a dystopic, sad thing, but it's gonna be a lot more prevalent in the future, whether I like it or not. Not Quite says, progress on the Minecraft server. Nothing. Just Jack says, let's crack Don. No, I don't want to. RM says, do you want to join the Somalian nation of Sydney? No. Porma2 says, can I draw you as a futa? I don't know what that means. I know it's a sexual thing, but I'd rather not you do that. Ronan says, shake ass Don. No. Zoner says, hi Pookie. Hello, Zoner. Zeb says, hello, remember me, Donnie? No, I don't. Levin says, if I donated 99 cents, will you forgive? Yeah, I would. Olive says, great timing, Don. I'm eating cookie dough right now. Oh, that sounds pretty bad. Cold Slayer says, them, what smell? Me, your upper lip. I don't get that. JK says, my here before Ramon's hog comment? You are. Don says, feed me, owner. I'm your dog. You're not my dog. Levin super chats, $1 American. Thank you, Levin. Yeah, you're forgiven. Mafioso says, hi, what's good? Hello, Mafioso. Joel says, why is cookie dough bad? Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. It sounds bland. Little says, hello, father figure. Hello. Ari says, day 2 of asking, do you like Ariana Grande? No, I do not. Zoner says, shake a Pookie. I'm not doing that. Angie says, hi. You the best YouTuber. Thank you. Carr says, when someone says a bad word in their comment, please don't say the bad word. No. I'm gonna say it anyways. Zeb says, bro, I've been here in your streams 4 times in a row. Okay. Silent says, hello. Hello, Silent. 1 second. Okay. Don says, I am your dog. Look at my profile picture. That's an AI dog. Nightmare says, do you enjoy doing this at all? Yes. Levin says, Ronan, why do you want to get inappropriate with me? Yeah, I don't know why. Thank you again, Levin. Timer extended. Corvus says, are you a good boy? When it comes to the laws, yeah. Thank you, Andrad, for the 10 100s. Way says, I'm first, Dan. No, you're not. Hudson says, you look hella fine. Thank you. Ronan says, do it, shake it. What? Little says, day 5 of asking Dad to let me out of the basement. You're not in the basement. John says, I have 3 balls. Wow, that's crazy. Noodle says, could I get some spare change? No. Corvus says, are you an unk? I'm not. JK says, Christina Aguilera is better than Ariana Grande. Aguilera is from Pittsburgh area too. Okay. I don't have an opinion. Thank you, Varda, for the preschool star. Doctor says, eagle emoji? What about it? Cherry says, what are your dogs' names and why? Well, the way they are is not because of any reasons. I just thought they sounded cool. Like, my dogs don't have any namesakes. Ronan says sweaty balls. Okay. Levin says day 40 of asking Don to recreate Aisha meat. I'm not doing that. Ace says yo touch grass. Narna. Alex says Messi or Neymar or ribs. Messi. Cold Slayer says you're my favorite streamer. Thank you. Ronan says, can I have a shake ass? I don't know what you mean. Joel says outline. I'm not doing that. Fear says, I like gay men. That's cool, Fear. Zeb says, I have 19 chromosomes. Well, that's crazy. Olive says, I've just made a Reddit account, and I feel so disgusted with myself. I mean, there's some good stuff on Reddit. The Ultimate says, what would it take you to hire mods? I don't want to say because I don't want to encourage the behavior that would make it necessary. TB says, are we doing another raid? If the stream reaches 3 hours long, I'll do that. Mr. Otter says, rate my profile picture. Terrible. Jen says, water. Nara now. Alex says, is it true you got banned for 2 days? No, where did you hear that nonsense? Velocity says, I would mod for free. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Will Z, for the marshmallow hand. Joel says, my biggest life regret is not donating during the mod season. Oh, yeah. Funny. Toe says, rate my profile picture. 0.5. Way says, why did you get banned? I never... On Warframe? Where? Boy says, good to see you. How many lives have you done? Figure it out. Chicken says, are you into fitness? No. Sunk says, what are your opinions on Jack Storber? From the thumbnails I've seen, he looks corny. SL says, ever ate a edible? No. Sebastian says, are you American? Yes, I am. HO says, I'm a gay femboy. That's cool, HO edits. Mood says, hi. Hello, Mood. Don says, love you, Pops. Thank you. That's so freaky. Yera says, I love your background. Thank you. Kit Kat says, racial slur. Okay. Thank you again, Will Z, for the marshmallow gift. Prime says, hey, Daddy. Hello, Prime. Dog says, you look like Cyrax. I don't see the resemblance. Cyrax looks like Asmongold. I don't look like Asmongold. Lol says, play VR. No. Joel says, bone density, house inflation. Okay. JK says, have you ever tried Korean pork jerky? It's good. No, I haven't. Eat Potato says, what's your favorite car? The Honda Civic. John says, burnt popcorn and beer for breakfast. Oh, that's sad. Way says, Don Benitez, dad is wild. Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. Porma2 says that makes Cyrex sound human. Oh, he's... Okay. I didn't know that he was that crazy. Doge says, do a jumping jack for disco. No. Sebastian says, yeah. What? Levin says, can you not call me a Jew if I give you cheap gifts? I would never do that. Oleg says, not rude. What is the point of this channel? What's the point of anything on YouTube? Ligma says, can you give me a hand job? No. Callum says, are you depressed? No. Zero says, I subbed. Okay, thank you. Jack says, are you Oliver Tree? No, I'm not. Daily says 67, okay. JK says, how do they make movie popcorn so good? I don't know, but it probably has to do with those expensive popcorn, big popcorn makers they have. Ira says, you look like V from BTS. Okay. Prime says, I had Skittles for breakfast today. That's crazy. Thank you, Levin, for the Chuck E. Cheese coin. Maria says, sup. Hello, Maria. Lacrosse says, dude, how much sleep are you running a healthy amount? FL says, what is the point of this channel? You gotta elaborate. That's a really stupid and vague question. The Ultimate says, have you ever found me annoying? I haven't. Alex says, why do you have gum in your table? Oh, I do have gum. I just like including random objects in the frame every day. Thank you, Levin, for the preschool star, and Doge for the... Trav says, I farted and it stinks. Okay. Corvus says, chopped. Alright. Kathy says, Bob Ross. Alright. Ash says, are you doing this for the money or fame? Mostly money. It's not one or the other. That's stupid. Cold Slayer says, who made your shirt? Well, it's from JCPenney. Olive says, undisclosed Mentos sponsorship. I'm reporting you. I don't... Funny. Velocity says, you're not chopped. Okay. Thank you, Doge, for the feces. Jason says, what did you eat today? Or do today? And what did you eat? I ate mac and cheese last. It's Men says, hi. Hello, it's Men. Thank you, Tyler Woodcock, for the disco ball abomination. Joel says he streams because he's a CIA freelancer running a social experiment. No comment. Ash says, look like we're Baltimore. What? Zachary says, okay. Thank you, Chill Wire, for this Fortnite loot box thing. Thank you for the cringy chest thing. Yor says, I hope you think I'm annoying. No, I don't. Hey says, China. Okay. Chicken says, fitting these nuts in your mouth. No, you're not. Corvus says, do you think I'm a good boy? No. Alex says, eat a piece of the gum for a disco ball. No, I'm not a prostitute. Trav says, do you enjoy doing these lives? Yeah, I mean, the randomness is fun. Aaron says, have what? Dog says, how often do you wash it? No comment. Levin says, you didn't thank me for plastic flower. Thank you, Levin, earlier for your plastic flower. Not says, hey man, I'm about to start streaming. Can you raid my stream? Probably not. I've noticed that when people have VR in their YouTube name, their channel usually sucks, so probably not. LaCroix says, are you married? I am not married. Jack says, 67. Okay. Serial says, do you remember me? I do. JK says, no. I think he looks more like Suga from BTS. Okay. I don't know who that is. Tree Monkey says, my dad's name is Sex Toy Dildo. Oh wow, that's an unfortunate name. Alex says, also, what happened to the spiky old hair from back then? People's styles change. Holt says, stop looking depressed. I can't help it. Unfantastic says, what if you were a Cheez-It that likes Cheetos? That's middle name was Pa. Then I'd be... I don't know. Asti says, who is Dom Benitez? That's me. Daniela says, why are you mean? You are saying no all the time. Just because I say no doesn't mean that I'm mean. That's stupid. Julia says, my brother is penis is long. Okay. Boss says LeBron or Jordan. LeBron. Olive says, do you think anyone who was in your first stream is still watching you? The very first stream? No. Hey says, weenies in your mouth. Alright. Ligma says, do you know homosexual bitch? No, I don't, and I condemn your chat message. Mr. Red says, why are you depressed? I never said I was depressed. Nirvan says, thanks for rating Baking Bread a few streams ago. I'm now a fan. Okay, that's awesome. I love to hear that. A Freakin says, do you like apes? And if so, would you eat one? No, I wouldn't. That apes are too human-like. Jason says, neighbor. Okay. Jack says, you like cock? No, I don't. Colin says, you sound depressed. I know, but I'm not. Official says, gay person, I'm scary videos, the person who talked in your stream. I vaguely remember that person. Thank you, Alex and Vint, for the gifts. Levin says, I once had a strong urge to watch homosexual pornography, so I did, and I didn't like it. Also, I was 12. 12, that's way too young. Ramon super chats, bro. If you can't show the hog, at least show us the outline. No, I'm not doing that. No compromise. Timer extended. Emeka says hi. Hello, Emeka. Chris, thank you for the disco ball abomination. Wei says, Ramon, you dirty girl. Yeah. SG says, my dad bites my sack when I sleep. Oh, that's horrible. Cold Slayer says, did you have an emo phase? In terms of dress? No. I mean, maybe right now, but I don't consider this emo. JK says, there you go. Way to go, Ramon. Yeah, thank you. Again. I don't know how I feel about the word comment, though. Goodman says, was your mac and cheese yummy? Yes. HR says, everybody spam this emoji. There's no emoji. Ramon says, I found a diary at Goodwill that a woman had started for her son because she had itchy ass syndrome and wanted to leave him a message. Her wish was for her son, Don, to show the hog outline. No comment. Mai says, do you remember me? No, I don't. Blend says, what makes you happy? Money. Thank you, Trist, for the Chuck E. Cheese coin. Official says, everyone is gay in this chat, but the streamer is somehow the least gay. Okay. Wizard says, like the shirt, man, thank you. Liv says, do you remember me? Also, real question. Who's your favorite character? I'm not really, I don't know. Maybe Bill Harford. Levin says, what do you mean 12 is too young? People usually start when they're 8. They're both too young. That's bad. Johnny says, read my gift. Thank you, Johnny, for the preschool star. Ultra says, you're cool. Thank you. Evan says, any tips to help unstick my balls? Maybe douse it with water. Slick says, would you consider subscribing to be? What? Tree Monkey says, I started when I was 5. That's horrible. Pebble says, do you remember me? No, I don't. LP says, do you like reading? If so, what's one of your favorite books? Well, I like the essay, Self-Reliance. Zachary says, can I see your di? No, you can't. Thank you, TSP, for the preschool star. Chinese says, why do you stream 24/7? I don't. Much less than that. JK says, is putting ketchup on mac and cheese weird? Yeah. Gorlock says fart. Okay. Thank you, Partnor, for the 6-7 abomination. I'm him says homosexual pornography. Okay. James says black or white. No comment. Jeremy says, you're done. If my uncle blah 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 masturbate my uncle, don't do that. RM says, your keyboard was made by a Somalian pimp. No, it wasn't. Angel says, I'm black. Okay. Open says, do you agree with me that money can buy happiness? No. JC says, you will perish. Okay. Bentley says, I'm gay. That's cool, Bentley. Wesley says, yo, you're streaming again. I am. Pliss says, your hairline is receding. No, it's not. Vamp says, can you let me out of your basement? You're not in my basement. Elijah says, hope you're having a good day. Thank you. And thank you, what is that username? Thank you for the sparkles. Milton says, you see you? I do see myself. Kit Kat says, do you remember me? Yeah. Thank you for the gifts. Defin says, you're so gorgeous, Don Benitez. Thank you. Pets says, let's watch homosexual sex. I'm not interested. Noodle says, are the ops coming? No. Josh says, bro, I think that's sad that only money makes you happy. I never said it was the only thing. Kevin says, bro, stop being sarcastic. I'm rarely sarcastic. Zachary says, is 15 too you to go on porn? Yeah, that is too young. Kay says, let me out of your attic. I'm starving. You're not in my attic. Thank you, April Rogers, for the feces. Ronan says, porn. Okay. The Kai says, do you remember me? Yeah, I do. Your profile picture is memorable. Nirvan says, what do you use to show the chats? It's in the description. Lil says, I shared. Okay. Thank you, Rachel, for the Chuck E. Cheese coin. Wiz says, why haven't you joined the military to help defend our country? Because, I feel like, to help defend our country is an oversimplification. I think it's more complicated, than, why... I don't know what I'd be fighting for. Saint says, do you remember me? No, I don't. Olive says, can you see yourself ever losing your temper on these streams? No. Vin says, can you show us the nipple outline, please? No. Thank you, Master Quinn, for the disco ball abomination. I'm looking at your profile picture. It's a chat box. Q. Chris says, what did you major in for college? Sorry, I keep that private. Moonlight says, hi, Donny boy. Hello, Moonlight. Jack says, can you help me pull out now? Mr. Atomic says, are you forklift certified? No, still not. No. Thank you, Jackson, Matthew, and Philip for the gifts. Philip Batello. Matthew. Cross says, do you enjoy video games? Yeah. Cool says, do you remember me? No, I don't. Alex says, hi. Hello, Alex. Cody says, is baseball a good sport? It's the most elegant sport. Max says, should I ask my crush out? Why not? Tree Monkey says, uncle, give it up and do the L cosplay. No. Kid Cat says, do you remember my mother? No, I don't. Thank you, Jackson Murtaugh, for the disco ball abomination. The Golden says, I like the background. Thank you. Defin says, wifey, should I bet on black or red? Red. Jonathan says, how big is it? None of your business. Blueberry says, cheese. Okay. Dexton says, hello, I like your stream. Thank you. Tommy says, do you remember me, Baba Girl? No, I don't. The Kyoka says, do you like reality TV? I enjoyed watching Beast Games. Tunnen says, do you remember me? Yes. Murs says, what games do you play? Well, I haven't been playing games. The last game I really got into was Black Ops 2, a few months ago. Just says, what's the benefit of being brutally honest? Not having to remember lies. Adolfo says, hi, hello, Adolfo. Crystal says, when was the last time you were truly happy? Right now. Jimmy says, brush your teeth. I do. Shaw says, you should play Deltarune. No, I shouldn't. Ollie says, have you met Diddy? No. Levin says, Don's a loser. He started when he was less than 12. Laughing emoji. No comment. Editor says, do you remember me? No, I don't. Bailey says, Coach Beard. I don't know what that means. Thank you again, Philip, Batello, and Matthew for the gifts. Mitt says, you're interesting. Thank you. Unfantastic says, now what if you saw a Lego of a candlestick with his tongue out for a picture? I don't know, but tongues out I don't like that look. Foos says, do you actually enjoy doing this? Yeah. Jack says, you look like Epstein. No, I don't. The Golden says, Diddy was put in solitary confinement. or sword fighting with someone. That's funny, but not real. Thank you, Sam, for the 3 W's, and Mitzer for the F. Wei says, are you brutal honest in person? I don't know, but I'll tell you I'm more honest on here. I'm usually a bit more diplomatic in person. Epic says, my grandma's capybara did a backflip. Okay. Thank you, Sam and Colby, for the 6-7 gift. Lewis says, hi. Hello, Lewis. The Kyoka says, have you ever played any Chilla's art games? Maybe. That sounds familiar. Maybe you should name one. Name a few. DL says, I like your live stream. I sub. Thank you. Jasper says, hi. Hello, Jasper. Colin says, why are you so pale? Genetics. RM says, I already read that. Pliss says, act like you're shaking a salt shaker in your mouth. Why would I do that? I don't want to give the impression I'm like getting a facial or something. Top says, hi. Hello, Top. Kaiser says, you never pick me. Sorry. Grayson says, you bring me joy. Thank you. Cold Slayer says, is that vodka beside you? No, it's not. Chinese says, when are you going to let me out of your basement? You're not in there. Mers says, ever played COD Ghost on the 360? Never had an Xbox. Moose says, made a lot of money and got an e-bike. Cool. Sebastian says, have you ever been to any other country? Yeah, but I don't remember that. I was young. Just says, what is the most money someone has donated? I've received $500 before. Jimmy says, yellow aw teeth. Yeah. Jeremy says, Don, do you like ladyboys? No, I don't. Landon says, can I get a piece of gum, please? No. I don't know how I would... I'm not going to mail it to you. Thomas says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's funny. Shrek Pepe. Peanut says, can hamsters follow Judaism? I don't think so. Helix says, hello. Hello, Alex. I couldn't says, orange. Okay. It's real says, rainbow profile picture. Okay. Defin says, Donnie, I just lost 30k. I'm very sorry. SN says, morning my boob, please. I don't know what you're saying. Damien says, do you ever get bored of this? Yeah, I do. 3P says, like my new profile picture? No, I don't. Kai says, who is Zane Moyes? Your channel is linked to there. It's a person I rated. SN says, poop. They're just a random streamer. I don't know them. I just wanted to support them. Eric says, remember me? No, I do not. Carlos says, what boy you got Dio? What? Official says bananas. Okay. Paul says hydrate. I'll do that. 1 second as I take a drink of water. Landon says whatever that is. I don't know what that means. God says, have you ever watched Black Phone? No. 1V says you're not funny. Okay. Ocean says, you do this all day? No. Shaw says, why no Delta Bruin? Because, I don't know, it just... The fan base just drives me away. They just seem like a bunch of... It's like the same people that like Digital Circus. Timmy says, is water tasty to you? No. McDonald says, do you believe in God? No, I don't. Josh says, what was that throw? I think it... What's bad about it? Khan says, can you give me V-Bucks? No. JX says, can we play Fortnite? No, sorry. Cross says, what's the point of this live stream? What's the point of any live stream? Shaw says, that's fair. Okay. Cassie says, remember me? I remember you were frustrated with how I was pronouncing your name. Donnie says, why? Why what? Random says, have you played any of the Far Cry games? No, I haven't. Zachary says, push it harder, please. Push what? Fog says, no problem, Chief. Okay. Olive says, he can't help it if he throws bottles a little gaily. Leave him alone. I'm not gonna full force throw it. I don't know. That wouldn't be, that would just make my room a mess. Uranium says, never mind. Okay. Ben says, you look depressed. Okay. Way the Zombie says, what's the point of anything? Yeah, I agree. Alex says, can I get a chicken nugget? No, you can't. Lane says, hey bro, I hope you're having a great day. Love your streams. Read that sarcastically if you're gonna send me $5. I didn't read it sarcastically. Thank you, Lane, and I don't think I read stuff sarcastically. Kit Kat says, do you like my profile picture? It's me as Jesus. That's funny. It's me says, I'm back. Hello, it's me. Waffle says, spoon is broke. What? Levin says, YouTube censors when I say goon or di. Really? Wow. Ramon says, is that your bedroom? Where is located in the house? No comment. Dirt says, your chat has grown so much. I've been here since the first stream. No, you haven't. Claire says, hello, bro. Hello, Claire. Colin says, how long does it take you to open a can of tuna? I don't know. I don't eat tuna. L says, braid your gooch hairs. No. Ollie says, say the N-word. I'm not racist, though. Li says, is John Rod the strongest? I don't know who that is. Carlos says, son, dog, Pepsi. What? Niz says, I lick peanut butter off my uncle's toes. That's really gross. Thank you, STX, baseball, softball, stream. I appreciate the disco ball abomination. What a weird username. Cody says, rate my profile picture. Cool glasses. Fire says, do you like men? Not in a gay way. Liam says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's wholesome. Carter says, favorite food, the cheeseburger. And R says, go to sleep. Why? Thank you, Cameron, for the disco ball abomination. Aussie says, do you miss them, Don? Miss what? Miss who? Mr. says, do you have a hobby? Video editing. Melty says, I need to sleep and one stupid mosquito keeps buzzing here. I don't know, just try to keep your eye on him. Jennifer says, hi. Hello, Jennifer. Lewis says, whatever that is. Just says, it was a little zesty. Okay. Alright. Someone says, how often do you goon? No comment. Sebastian says, what's your actual hair color? I mean, I never dyed it, but I think my hair is dark brown. Epic says, where is your fucking neck? Obscured by my head. It's because of the angle, you know? Fire says, what's your type of woman? Well, definitely shorter than me. Lane Bagel Super Chats. $5 for not reading that sarcastically. Also, sumo wrestling is the most elegant sport in my opinion. No, it's not. I imagine that's probably the opposite of elegant. Thank you for the $5, even though I failed your task. That's weird. Thank you. Timer extended. Petru says, how tall are you? I'm 5'7". Levin says, BJ, HJ, Pudj, or AJ. Dude, no comment. McLevin says, you're a cool dude. Thank you. Divine says, would you rather fuck a femboy or get fucked by a man? I don't want to think about that. I'll cross that bridge if and when I get there. Thank you, Cameron, for the disco ball abomination. Porma2 says, my grandpa would call you a limp-wristed flamer. Yeah, okay. Master says, nice. Alright. Cat's Eye says, favorite artist. I'm a fan of Radiohead. Plus says, how long are you going to do this series for? Probably another year. Fire says, do you like Latinas? I mean, I don't know. I think that's boring because I'm already that myself, a Latino. So it'd be, I want someone that looks different from me. Just Danger says, how many can you fit in a second? What? Real says, I'm your biggest fan, thank you. Wesley says, will you raid me please? No. SN says, please hyperbait on stream. I don't know what that means. Thank you, Saf, for the pepper, and Cameron for the disco ball. Mike says, can I crack? No, you can't. Austin says, answer the femboy question, please. No. Those would you rather questions are so stupid and lame. Wesley says, aw man, okay. Nuck says, I saw you yesterday licking your toes. That wasn't me. Ramon says, find you a street Haitian to marry. That would be different than me, so maybe. Olive says, 1 year till dawn disappears. Start digging your graves now. Or I'll always be on the internet, but maybe not always streaming. Jasper says, I like your stream. Thank you. Whitney says, bagel. Okay. Alright. Verity says, hello. Hi. Hira says, I have explosive diarrhea. Have any tips to stop it? Ask the internet as opposed to me. Divine says, if you could, would you end all circumcising? I mean, I've heard that it stops smegma, so isn't it a good thing? Alberto says, hi. Hello, Albert. Stranger says, ah, okay. Thank you again, Cameron, for the disco ball gift. Caroline says, are you a real person? Yeah. Jana says, hi. New subscriber. Thank you. Fire says, I have just started watching your streams. You're very entertaining. If I had money, I'd donate. However, I do not. But good luck with streaming. Thank you, Fire. Ice says, I'm pooping right now. Okay. Carlos says, rate my profile picture. It looks like AI slop. Thank you, True Turk, for the 6-7 gift. Levin says, your real name starts with an M. I know what it is. No comment. General says, hi bro. Hello, General. Kit Kat says, the amazing digital circus fandom is disgusting. Yeah. Ronan says, anal sex with me again. I'm not doing that. We've never done that. Thank you, Baseball, for the plastic flower. The New says, name a number from 1 to 500. 361. Saf says, rate my profile picture. I like Minecraft. I like it. Wizard says, Radiohead is so good. Yeah, it's like one of the most famous bands. Aussie says, what's your favorite slur? Clanker. James says, yo, remember me? No, I don't. Shadow says, how many X's do you have? No comment. John says, do you think COD should bring back custom emblems? I mean, no. I mean, they're too insensitive in my opinion. AD says, hello, Chud. Hello, AD. Just Danger says, Clanker. Okay. Boxman says, hello. Hello, Boxman. Way says, peas. Okay. Olive says, can you lucid dream? No, I cannot. Beatling says, say, oil. There you go. Random says, I saw your collab with Johnny Sins. Good job. I haven't delved into pornography. Am says, hi. Hello, Am. Frosty says, thoughts on Siege. It's my favorite FPS. NR says, can you wet dream? No comment. Peanut says, racial slur. Okay. Thank you, Adam Stewart, for the thumbs up gift. And thank you again to Cameron for the disco ball abomination. It's Lemon says, would you rather eat lemon or a lime? A lime. Helix says, what's your favorite fruit? The orange. I am says, we the same height. Oh, cool. Logan says, what headset is that? It's a $20 Logitech headset. Camila says, remember me? No, I don't. RD says, do you think a girl will fuck a girl even they do not have dicks? I don't know, man. Thank you, Squid, for the W, and Wirt for the feces. Cherry says, what was your favorite childhood show? Avatar: The Last Airbender. Cody says, rate my alt profile picture. Oh, that's wholesome. Harry says, is Ribbit hot? TDC? I don't know. I don't watch that show. Colin says, $20. You're so down to earth. Thank you for the fake money. Thank you for the fake gift. E-Dog says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's a cool frog. Winter says, how long do you stream for? It's been around 3 hours. E3 says, why is everyone making horny remarks? I don't know. Frosty says, what rank are you? I'm champ on X. Oh, wow, that's crazy. I don't play ranked anymore. Or Rainbow Six Siege at all. Gooby says, I like PP. Okay. Leben says, Don, you went too rough last night. I can't walk and my legs are bruised. That wasn't me. I'm not your partner. Thank you, Jordan, for the Chuck E. Cheese coin. Wags says, there's 100 dicks on a wall. How many choke on? I'm not sucking any dicks. Musta says, thoughts on Doctor Doom? I'm probably gonna watch it, even though it's slop. Vince says, rate my profile picture. That's AI slop. Vivek says, I goon to you. Okay. Carlos says, I'm Don Benitez, and I like Carlos. I was only reading a chat message. Drift says, Clanker. Okay. Beaton says, Messi or Ronaldo. Messi. John says, I put tuna in my coffee. Oh, that's weird. Alexander says, why do you think it's slop? Marvel movies, I mean, they appeal to the lowest denomination and no interesting writing. But Y2K says, hi, hello Y2K. RB says, I do not give you permission to end stream, no comment. What? I don't care. Keegan says, can I send you Laughing Disco? Yeah. Your Name says, what kind of phone do you have? I have an iPhone SE3. Thakana says, yo, just rate my profile picture. Oh, it looks ugly. 1. Levin says, Tool's playing a festival in like a month. If you go with me, we could have some fun after the show. I don't want to do that. Bottle says, there's an ant, your monitor, bro. No, there isn't. Marie says, I have these lucid dreams. Oh, that's cool. Kai says, some Chilla's art games are Parasocial, Bathhouse, The Convenience. Oh, okay, I have heard about them. They don't look like good games, though. They look like they were made very fast. Maybe they're okay still, but they look like they were, like, made fast. WoW says, are we raiding today? Maybe. Ruck says, why was there no stream yesterday? Just because I was busy. Mai says, do you remember me? No. Ramon says, why haven't you ordered the PS5 yet? Because it's a lot of money. It's $900. Ocean says, should I still steal something from my bud? No. Kylie says, you like men? No. By the way, I'm talking about the PS5 Pro. If I'm going to get a PS5, I'm going to get the Pro, and that's $900. So it's a lot of money. Danielle says, why what? Divine says, would you rather be a black man or a femboy? Dude. I'll cross that bridge if and when I get there. Peanut says, fuck me. Not doing that. Crystal says he loves men. It's not true. Adrian says, remember me now. Enver says, rate my profile picture. FNAF is stupid. Frosty says, is there a reason you quit? Took a break yesterday. I was busy. Boss says, so many weird questions, yeah. Porma2 says, high key, painted trade, but it was clear. What? Ramon says, I don't know, what? Noah says, how is FNAF stupid? It just looks silly. Looks like horror for children. Thank you, Keegan Hall, for the disco ball. I remember you saying, can I give you a disco ball? And you did, so thank you. Finn says, dear Don, I love the pic you sent me of you bending down with your balls. I never sent that. Cinder says, I'm trans. Oh, that's cool. Boss says, W phone. Thank you. And thank you again to Keegan and Keegan again for the 2 disco balls. Porma2 says, it would be harder to become a black man. No comment. John says, my butthole is closed up. Okay. Your favorite says, do you remember me? Yeah. Cold Slayer says, I'll cross that bridge if and when I get there. That's my voice line. Ramon says, I would be the black man. It's an easier answer. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Keegan, for the 3 disco balls. I appreciate it. E says, do you like Avatar with the blue people? No. Ballet says, yo, I just got $20 for thrifting. Oh, that's awesome. I shall buy you a gift. Oh, thank you. Frosty says, I meant Siege. You said you don't play it anymore. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know the context. Vin says, if I give 10 stars, then will you put your dick in Messi? No. Willow says, remember me, Don? No. Adrian says, do you think pineapple belongs in pizza? Yes. Shadow says, has anyone recognized you outside of streaming? Never. QZ says, we're getting a divorce. We were never married. Ruck says, have you finished those Mentos? Not yet. There's only a couple in there. General says, Man City or Manchester? Manchester. Elizabeth says, hi. Hello, Elizabeth. YK says, will you please spank me? No. Saf, or actually Boss Boy says, do you like J-Shock, the food reviewer? Haven't heard of him. Cody says hi. Hello, Cody. Jack says, rate my profile picture. -1. Deegan says, do you not remember me? Correct. Wrestling says hello. Hello, Wrestling. Bun says, it's shock o'clock. Sorry? That sounds familiar. I don't know what you're saying, though. Your boy says, rate my profile picture. Oh, cute cat. It's a weird angle, though. I don't like it. Jasper says you watch Jaws? Yeah, in the theaters. Roger says, the Amazing Digital Circus is amazing. Okay. Levin says, tips for losing my V-card with you. There's no tips. That's in futility, asking for tips. Emma says, do you like foxes? Yeah. Richard says, would you respect me even though I'm bisexual? Yeah. Jaw plays super chats. What's good, big dog? How much is the average earnings on streams like this through super chats and gifts? Love you. Average earnings. I mean, I know I earn at least $40 an hour per. Yeah, $40 an hour streaming. I know that for sure, but it fluctuates a lot, but I know it's at least that. Vint says, I'm still giving you 10 stars because you send me dick. I never did that. Random says, yesn't or nuzzent. I don't know. Thank you, Jaw. Timer extended. Josh says, how is your day going? It's going fine. Ramon super chats, I bet you got soft cake. No comment. The Kai says, who is your favorite Avatar The Last Airbender character? Mine's Zuko. Mine's Azula. Enver says, rate my profile picture. Stupid looking. Tree says, J-Shock is the GOAT. Okay, I don't know who that is. Snow says, King Kong or Godzilla. King Kong. Danielle says, why do you sound so done with life? I love it. I'm so curious. I don't know. Do you really think I'd have an answer? That's stupid. It's just the way I sound. Cody says, do you play Assassin's Creed? Not right now. Not. Jack says, why is mine -1? Because, I hate the digital circus. Nima says, what are your opinions on Ireland? I don't know anything about them. Plato says, Daniel or my nuts? What? Jack says, rate your what? Plato says, you love me? No, I don't. Jenny says, have you seen Henry Danger? The first person movie? No. Jack says, rate my profile picture. Stupid. I don't even know what's happening. I just see red. Boss says, rate the Philippines. Well, I can tell you it's good for, virtual assistants, remote labor. Thank you again, Keegan Hall, for the Disco Ball Abomination. Michael says, favorite Michael Jackson song. I like Beat It. Lincoln says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that guy looks professional. John says, do you respect Christians? Yeah. Boss says, nice. Okay. Joseph says, rate my profile picture. Yeah. Owen says, where is everywhere you have travels? I've done a road trip throughout the U.S. I've been to New York, San Francisco. Albert says, rate Canada. 5. Daniel says, do you like Pokemon? No, I don't. That one says, that's not quite my tempo. I don't care. Richard says, I already read that. Levin says, I'm gonna take a shower and maybe goon. I'll be back in like 40. See you, Levin. Carlos says, your mom's phone number is your money. How much you got? No comment. Jordan says, have you been to Nashville? I haven't. Winter says, fake gift. Okay. Lars says, opinion on Chinese eating cats. Sounds dark. I don't like it, but maybe it's just a different culture. Plato says, yo, I'm new. Hello, Plato. Silence says, rate on how the world is. It's always bad. Vin says, read my gift boy. No. X says, do a mukbang for $100. I don't like mukbangs. Movie says, do your eyes hurt? No, they don't. Bun says, already read that. The Kyoko says, rate my profile picture. I mean, the expression on her face is pretty unique or cute, I guess. Caden says, please shout me out. No. Zachary says, tampon. Okay. 1 second, please. Okay, I'm back. Marie says, Despacito, Mamacita. Alright. Kaiser says, rate my profile picture or else. It's too busy. Too much going on. Albert says, rate my profile picture. I don't like it. Viper says, do you like SOD, Disturbed, or Corn? You can pick multiple. I like Corn. Yor says, rate my profile picture. Oh, hey, that's me, but a Reddit mod. Cake says, what's your opinion on women's periods? I feel sorry for them. Kylie says, piss out my fucking ass. Okay. I already read that. Lars says, opinion on cheese eating cats. I already read that too. Vin says, you think the girl is cute on the profile picture? I don't know what your girl you're talking about. VN says, rushing or dragging? You tell me. Viper says, you're a cool dude, thank you. Cody says, my girlfriend showed me your stream. Okay. Andre says, already read that, yeah. Peanut says, I'm pedophile, do you support? No, I don't. Enver says, why do you hate my profile picture so much? It just, I don't know, it just looks stupid to me. Ruck says, do you speak any other languages? No. Boss says, what is your favorite subject? History. Goku says, what's your opinion on Dragon Ball? I don't like Japanese shows, so I don't know, just not my style. Lincoln says, how veiny is it? None of your business. Peach says, I like the background, thank you. Mike says, think you'll give up on this since only doing it for money? I mean, even if I loved it, I would still give up on it eventually because passions change, you know? Andrad super chats, what do you call a Mexican with 3 eyes? I get it. That's funny. Ballet says, I'll get you a pair of new headphones because you are awesome. I don't need new headphones. Thank you, Andrad. Timer extended. 1 second. I need to drink some water. PJ says hi. Hello, PJ. Pizza says racial slur. Okay. Gunner says, are you super tired? No, I'm not. R4 says, what will you do if streaming doesn't work out? I mean, I'm not expecting streaming to work out, so it's... General says, bro, drink some Prime. No. Perfect says he's a creep. Alright. Marissa says, Habia Espanol. Hello, Marissa. Tenny says, rate my profile picture. That's a cute helmet. Thank you, Andrad, again for the thumbs up. Tenny says, rate my... I already did that, dude. Maid says, ting bong schwang long tom toe. Okay. Andre says, water time. I just did that. Ruck says, this is definitely not family friendly. Right. I don't know, says, Jesus loves you, thank you. General says, are you going to college? I don't talk about that. River says, hey bro. Hello, River. Jax fan says, why do you think The Amazing Digital Circus is bad? It just looks like it's for children, and it looks like Cocomelon or something. Davey says, I don't get hard anymore. I'm sorry. Peanut says, would you rather fuck me or Hitler? No comment. Thank you again Keegan for the disco ball abominations. Yor says bye bye poopy butt. See ya, Yor. Cody says, will my baseball team win my game on Thursday? Yes. Boss says, yo, name a history site. The battlefield of the Antietam battle. NR says, stop the Keegan Glaze. I'm not gonna stop. I don't know says, you love God. No. Richard says, bro is Angel from Hasbin Hotel. Okay. Jamie says, the Amazing Digital Circus is not for kids. Yeah, it is. It is. Boss says racial slur. Okay. Well, like, maybe the creator of Digital Circus didn't want it for kids, but it's for kids. Like, River says, say my name is Jeff. There you go. Kylie says neighbor. Okay. Andre says Don low-key bass. Thank you. Void says, can I touch you? No. Slushy says, how smart do you think you are on a scale of 1 to 10? 5. Ryder says, how do you don't like God? He's on us. Because that assumes that I think he exists. Alberto says, why do you not like my profile picture? Well, one reason is because it's too dark. Blue says, the Amazing Digital Circus has fear and stuff. It is not for kids. That just proved that it is for kids. Like, doesn't Disney movies have that as well? Like, you're not making any sense. Maid says, act happy and smile. Not right now. Sarah says, I have my brother's old iPad, and now I have a phone and an iPad. Cool. The Kyoko says, what's your opinion on AI? It's gonna be the future. Whether you like it or not. It's gonna be everywhere. Toro says, just shave my balls. Okay. Boss says, cool. Alright. Perfect says, why space is genuinely terrifying? Because it's the new frontier. Plato says, polybuzz. Okay. NR says, Jack Doherty copycat. We're not similar. Vince says, are your balls veiny like mine? No comment. Jack says, bro, why don't you pick my messages? Because there's lots of other people here. Jay Smooth says, this guy is like that uncle that you just say things to, and he almost always says that's pretty cool. Similar, but not that simplistic. Jack says, do you like my profile picture? No, landscapes are bad profile pictures. Wei says, smile score 1.5. Okay. Peach says, an actual number question. Are you okay? Yeah, I am. Working says, hi, hello, working. Cortez says, W live streams, keep it up, bro, thank you. Madison says, do you like my profile picture? Yeah, I like how the shirt color matches the border color. RD says, what hobbies you in? I'm into video editing. Junko says, rate my profile picture, Don. 1. Jamie says, the Amazing Digital Circus has fucking horror elements, bruh. Like, did you not see the episode at all like you would like if you tried it? I mean, Toy Story 3 has horror elements. 747 says, rate my profile picture, please. Pretty boring. Bank says, do you like my profile picture? No, that's boring too. 1 second, please. Timmy says, reality is gay. Okay. Ban says, what are those headphones? They are Logitech headphones. Amy says, do you watch Teeny Pings? I do. No, I don't. Thank you, Slitty, for the disco ball abomination. Uranium says, salutations. Hello. Alberto says, zesty cough. Okay. Alex says, remember me? I don't. Clip says, do you get high a lot? No. Miggy says, what is one word you would say to describe Fortnite? Culture. Mo says, what is your reaction if I donated $500? I would say thank you, move on. Way the Zombie says, I see how the CIA signals now. No comment. Ocean says, any opinions on your childhood? Too much time on the internet. The Flippin' Gambler super chats, no comment. Okay. No comment. Ramsey says, do you like MHA? I don't know what that is. Ban says, do you play any video games? I do not anymore. Thank you, the Flippin' Gambler. Timer extended. Do you watch anime? No, I don't. Braden says, Jesus loves you. Thank you. R4 says, what shows do you watch? The last show I watched was The Walking Dead. Crit says, hydration break. Not right now. Movie says, Harry Potter. What about it? With the Zombie says, Flippin' Gambler W. Yeah. Thank you, the Flippin' Gambler. And, Cash, get money for the 6-7 gift. I do. 1 second. My OBS is lagging. That's weird. Hopefully it's okay. N says, opinion on Asmongold girlfriend. I don't think it's gonna last. Jamie says, what are the chances he spends 5 seconds reading this? I don't know. Perfect says, to be honest, am I a top 20 chatter? No. Braden says, Messi or Ronaldo? Messi. By the way, I'm locking the timer. Super chats and gifts no longer increase the timer. Username says, don't do this to me, Janet. What? Joe G says, Sir Don, hey, how's your night going? It's going fine. Alberto says, what's your Wi-Fi speed? I think it's 20. I mean, it was OBS lagging. It wasn't the internet. It was like the actual computer program lagging. Richard says, Majax is the best. Okay. Thuy says, hi Don, I just got home from work. Can I have a mento? No. Red says, don't remember me? I don't. Ban says, when do you stream? There's no schedule. N says, do you make any real content? Videos? Not yet. Corbin says, would you rather Micah Bell or John Marston? Micah Bell. R4 says, Marvel or DC? Marvel. Thomas says, I'm back. What's up, Thomas? The Glorified says, I jerked my shit to you. Okay. Bruh says, do you care about this? Somewhat. Somewhat. The Kyoko says, okay, I'm gonna go now, bye-bye. See you, the Kyoko. Bruno says, do you like Bruno Fernandez? I don't know who that is. Jasmine says, Jesus is king. Okay. Thank you, Ramsey, for the thumbs up gift. Boy says, 160 times. Thumbs up emoji. Do you have a favorite? Nobody knows what you're saying. Hey says, don't do this, I don't want to suffer. I'm not gonna hurt you. Thuy says, am I a top 20 chatter? Be honest. I don't like ranking my chatters. Dak says, cat emoji. Alright. John says, how old is Earth? Billions of years old. Mr. Wobble says, how do you have the energy to do this? Because it's really easy. Vin says, what will your videos be about? I'm not sure yet. Maybe vlogs. Jordan says, why do they call you Don? Because that's what I've chose to go by. Thank you, Evil Muffin, for the 100. Legend says, thoughts on Gorilla Tag? It's a kid's game, like Subway Surfers. The Glorified says, I want to see your tiny dick. You're not going to see my dick. Jamie says, have you watched Among Us show? No, I haven't. Username says, are we rating? Yeah, we are. Boya says, you've done 167 lives. Okay. 167, alright. Alberto says, are you rich? No. You already read that. Perfect says, I know your ass is a Tessundre. I don't know what that means. Hey says hi. Hello. Hey. Larry says, do you like Fortnite? A little bit. General says, bro, why are you crying? I'm not crying. Meister says, can I kindly raid your house? No. Viper says, favorite video game genre, if any. I've played mostly FPS in my life. Elliot says, when are you gonna get a job? I don't talk about my job. Wei says, Dawn is dating your mom. Okay. Cody says, how old do I look? I'm the one in the hat in my profile picture. Sorry, I don't want to do that. That's seems weird. Bruno says, you like Manchester United? No. I don't like sports. says, you are very monotone. That's true. Pizza says, I'm gonna come in you. No, you're not. T-Babby says, you like Fortnite? The word to indicate 2 weeks? No, I don't. I don't use it. Catalay says, do you know Jesus died for you? I've heard about that, but I don't believe in that. Snake says, do you remember me? No. Vin says, can you do your famous Samuel Jackson impression? I don't have one. Perfect says, the pina colada is a cocktail made with cream of coconut, pineapple juice, and rum. Thank you. Hey, says Janet. Okay. T-Babby says, I love you. Thank you. Lars says, why is 90% a prison cell full of blackie? I condemn your chat message. Detrain says, are you atheists? Agnostic. Username says calendar emoji. Okay. Thank you, Kelly, for the press F gift. Aaron says, what is your opinion on Judaism? I don't know too much about it. So. Thuy says, okay, you don't have to rank us all, but, like, am I one of your favorite regulars? You're in the top 10,000. Don't says, do you think I'm something? Eps. I recognize that from Epstein's emails. The Glorified says, hey hottie, hello Glorified. Wesley says, yo, hope you had a great day, and I can tell you're bored, please do a raid. I am doing a raid. SGT says, I'm just going home. Okay. Tree Monkey says, calendar emojis. Okay. Riney says, your chat needs to lock in. I think they're fine right now. Bunt says, what shows or movies do you watch? I'm not... Actually, I was just watching the movie... what is it called? It's with Ryan Gosling, and he lives in Manhattan, and he's depressed. Little says, favorite Netflix show. I don't have one. Username says 10 days ago, by the way. 17. Yeah, that was 10 days ago. Hey says, my favorite food was blueberries. Your caring for only self took that away. I don't know what you're saying. Username, yeah, I already read that. SGT says, okay, no comment. Yeah, that's me. That says, yo, I like your shirt, thank you. Jamie says, bro, why do you just say everything is a kid's thing? I don't say everything is a kid's thing. Alberto says, do you watch Speed? No. Colin says, it's called All Good Things. Yeah, it is, you're right. That's the show. That's the movie I was watching. I didn't complete it, though, because I got bored. But I probably should finish it. Thank you, Zekro, for the feces. Wei says, when foreigners try to make jokes in English, yeah. River says, do you like history? Out of subjects, that's my favorite. Riney says, why are your answers so boring, I don't know. Trip says, do you say the hard R? No, I don't. Brian says, how do you pick? It's mostly random. OG says, you added me on Discord and it was cool. Then you deleted me. I never removed anyone as a friend. Thank you, Local, for the feces. Varks says, should I put you in edit? No. Elliot says, how long you been doing this? For an hour. Gordy says, do you go to sleep now? I just lied there. I do go to sleep. I get 8 hours every night. Little says, change background. Why? Thank you, Edit FC, for the disco ball abomination. Jolina says, hi Don. Hello, Jolina. Bear says, did you stop streaming for a while? Or has YouTube failed by not recommending me this magnificent stream? I've been streaming every other day recently. 10TG tag super chats. Do you remember me? And also, you missed my 2 gifts. Thank you for the press Fs. Do I remember you? Not really. Well, actually, Tenty? That sounds familiar. The name Tenty sounds familiar. There's a lot of people with Gorilla Tag profile pictures, so it's hard to remember you. But Tenty sounds familiar. Zeno says, what does parasocial mean? Look it up. Silent says, later Don, see ya, Silent. Tree Monkey says, my name is Don Benitez, and I'm gay. That's not true. Greatest says, yo, there's a spider on your TV screen. No, there isn't. 1 second, please. Okay. Olivia says hi. Hello, Olivia. Wei says, words, read, to date, 67,000. What? Isaiah says hi. Hello, Isaiah. MTB says, God died for your sins. Say amen. No. Thank you, Picket Locks, for the GOAT trophy. Girly Pop Geek Super Chats. What extension do you use to bring up the messages? I use Live Chat Overlay. The extension is called this. Danny says, I never see you smile. Then you must not watch often. Alan says hi. Hello, Alan. Seb says, hey man, just want to say you're doing great with the streams. Thank you. River says, do you like his story? I don't know. Is that supposed to be a statement on, like, patriarchy? Meister says, why these kids saying weird shit? I don't know. John says, yo, workplace, happened, TV, salami. What? Thank you, I don't know, for the disco ball abomination. And thank you again for your, the golden idol from the Bible. Dakota says, guess what, chicken butt? Okay. Thank you, W-Verse, for this island. These stupid little characters in the island, thank you. They have a tent. Thank you for this cringy gift. I really appreciate it. W-Verse. Marilyn says, "Dih." Okay. Hey says, it's soon enough. What? For Wheel says, hi, hello, For Wheel. Joe says, Don, you're closet gay. I'm so closet that not even I know that I'm gay. Jolina says, that island's neat. I've never seen it before. Thank you again, W-Verse, for the cutesy island thing. Tub says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's funny. He does look like a hamster. Aaron says, Israel or Palestine? No comment. Vark says, can I crack a nut in your mouth? No, you cannot. Thank you, W-Verse, for the Minecraft potion, and Surge Lightning for the turtle drinking water. Stupid little turtle. 1 second. Jacob says something suspicious. Okay. Wamai says, do you like Los Pollos? The streamer? Not really. Porma2 says Wobble Meat Supreme. I don't know what that means. TX says anything. That works. Thank you, Big Squigga, for the disco ball abomination. Your profile picture looks similar to the background. Jolina says, look at the turtle, Don. The turtle, it's cute. Yeah, but I don't know, just it looks too cutesy. It's just, it bothers me. I like the money aspect though. Thank you again, Surge Lightning. Kenny says, I will shit your bed. No, you won't. WJ says, do you have nothing better to do? I mean, I get money from this. C-Dub says, rate my profile picture. 3. Scroll says, you cool man, thank you. Mighty says, hi, hello Mighty. Thank you, Scotty, for the disco ball abomination. Enzo says, guess who chicken poo? I don't know. N says, rate my profile picture. The bike's cool. C-Bubber says, look behind you. There's nothing interesting there. The Eagle says, you are doom scrolling comments. Exactly. Thank you, Wverse, for this possessed controller. Felix says, do you know Stray Kids? Not really. Kylie says, want to buy some meth? No thank you. Ewok says, what do you do normal day of your life? Sorry, I don't get into my personal life. Terry says, simple concept, what you're doing, yet brilliant. Thank you. Potato says, does this ever get old? Well, the randomness of the comments keeps it fresh. Thank you, Jacob Williams, for the American Eagle. Johnny says, you ever look at the things people comment and just be like, God, these guys are idiots? I mean, no, like, my expectations already are low. Carter says, do you work out? No I don't. Elite says, do you remember me? No. Bronson says, why are you doing school? Comments, I don't know what that means. Thank you again, Wverse, for the controller. And, the potion. Those silly, stupid gifts. Thank you, Wverse. 4 says, you should work out instead of brain rot all day. No, I shouldn't. Audrey says, do you remember me? No. Alan says, yo, just subbed. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. Little says, give me $10. No. Caleb says, hi. Hello, Caleb. J-Dog says, did Ramon ask for outline? He did, like an hour ago. Random says, whatever that is. Okay. Thank you, Wverse, for the Chuck E. Cheese coins. 5 of them, thank you. Tyler says, if I see you in public, would you like to be approached by fans or no? I would. Maxi says, rate my profile picture. Overdone. Alt says, do you think you'll ever change this up somehow? Yes. There's plans. Not gonna say them though. Lux says, gay. Okay. Jamie says, take this moment to take a break from reading, and please remember, you could make real content, then paying the bills like this. Please just look how tired you are, bro. Do something fucking else, bro. Well, I'll stop in 17 minutes. Vin says, POV, when Don gets something thrown at his dick. His dick is the northern tower at... No comment. Bronson says, can I get a rating of my profile picture? Landscapes are bad profile pictures. Trout says, do you have a brain? Yeah, I do. Huvian says, you remember me? No. Gay says, the doctor says, I have 2 weeks left to live. Oh, I'm sorry. The Untitled says, what are these kids saying? See for yourself. Muddy says, do you remember me, Don? No. Nocturnal says, are you a simp or a pimp? Eventually a pimp, but neither right now. 1DK says, have a nice day. You too. Master says, I was feeling bad earlier, but I smoked some weed, and I think I'm better. Nice. Way says, all the comics unite. Okay. Thank you, Only Hope is in Prayer, for the plastic flower. Only Hope is in Prayer. Okay. Thank you. Joel says, rate my profile picture. Cute cat. Raph says, how does one know they are not self-aware if they are not self-aware? That's a good question. Lily says, hi. Hello, Lily. Sunk says, hey, what's your favorite meme? Also, do you remember me? I like the Clash of Clans meme. How does it go? We understand you're in the hospital, but can you please fight in the clan war? JS says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's a cat with a monster. That's cool. Pajama says, shake it for Poppy now. Yuri says, someone in my class yelled, I'm horny. Okay, class clown. Bach says, hello sir, how's your day? Good. Thank you, Abren, for the disco ball. Abomination. And orange. L here says yo, hi. Trout says eat poop, not doing that. And thank you, B Parallels, for the marshmallow hand thing. Bob says, I like your content, thank you. Your profile is crazy. Hey, says Martha, okay. G-Ball says what's up, hello G-Ball. Caleb says, my throat is sore, oh I'm sorry. Brent says hi, hello Brent. Red says, believe it or not, I still like the color red, I can see that. Thank you, Fiona Productions, for the Uncle Alert thing. Defin says, you're so beautiful, Donnie. You've taken my breath away. Thank you. Cool says, can you rate my profile picture? Bad. 1. Little says, hello, father. I've come to check on the stream so far. Did you miss my presence? A little bit. Thank you, Wverse, for the 14 Chuck E. Cheese coins. Vin says, POV when the Titanic happens. Don's penis is the iceberg. Okay. Timmy says, hydrate. Not right now. Thank you, what's up, for the Uncle Alerts. Oh, hey, it's Jinxie. Edit says, hi, hello, Edit. Salvar says, do it be farting? No comment. Olive says, everyone wants to be Don's teacher's pet. Yeah, it does seem like that sometimes. Thank you, Fiona, for the American Eagle. Jersey says, Donnie boy. Hello, Jersey. Aaron says, Ukraine or Russia? Ukraine. Kelly says, Tenti has been here since one of the first streams. He's an OG. I don't think that's true, but I appreciate him, though. Thank you, what's up, for the disco ball. Abomination. Cruz says, take a drink of water. Not right now. Lil says, rate my profile picture. I don't like it. Monkey says, what games do you play? Nothing, but I may get back into Minecraft. Lou says, what are your thoughts on the World Cup? I don't like sports. Thank you, Save You from Stupid Gaming Slop, for the disco ball. Huh. That's your name, and your profile is a nature. That makes sense. I don't know if that looks like AI slop though, so that I don't know if I like that. Cruz says, do you remember me now? RL says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's disturbing. Mura says, do you like my profile picture? I can barely see anything. Lou says, do you ever consider impending doom? No. Wei says, you got Minecraft edits? I do. Chris says, huh? What? Just like super chats. Genuine question. I'm burnt the fuck out on my job, brother. Do I put in my 2 weeks and try to focus on my creative works? Also the Don. Homunculus died. Oh. Rest in peace, my clone. Anyways, do you put in your 2 weeks? I feel like statistically, most people that have done that have failed. Most people that have quit their boring job and went into creative have failed. So if you're a hard worker, then I guess you can do it, but if it depends how much you believe in yourself. JS says, what religion are you? I don't have one, but in general I would say no. I'm just trying to be realistic. John says, please rate my profile picture. Oh, that's John Pork, World War II, that's cool. Rowdy says, fuck you, do you remember me now? Frost says, may you rate my profile picture? 1. BS says, if we raid the streamer, what happens? We all go to the streamer, we just surprise them and say hi. That's what happens. Chris says, are you agnostic or atheist? Agnostic. C says, are you ever going to do a vlog? Eventually. But it may be years. Genuine says, is my name and profile picture tough? No. Well, the name isn't bad. 1 second, please. Cat's Eye says, remember me? No, I don't. Levin says 90. I don't know why you're saying that. Thank you, Save You, for the Chuck E. Cheese coin. Lou says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's an adorable kitten. Brent says, how do you like my name? Brent Fleetwood. Goofy. Reminds me of Cloudy Chance of Meatballs. Your boy says hi. Hello, your boy. Rowdy says, sorry, my comment, my brother did that. He's 14. I already forgot what you said. Aubrey says hi. Hello, Aubrey. Bagel says, do you like bagels? Yeah, I like bagels. That one in your profile picture looks appetizing. Bentley says, I hate you. Okay. Diplo says, rate my profile picture. Lame. Thank you again to Orange for the Disco Ball Abomination, and Fiona for the Unk Alert. Jasper says, hi, I'm back. Hello, Jasper. Cool says, that guy should definitely not quit his job. I did that once, and it took me over 6 years to get another good paying job. Just like, I think I agree with that guy. I think I agree with this. Crit says, hydration break, please. Not right now. Monkey says, rate my profile picture. The Photoshop looks low effort, I'm sorry. The Yellow says, do you eat bread with Eden cheese? I haven't tried that. QR says, remember me now. Lou says, what's the point of this experiment? Well, one point is for me to get money. Just like Super Chats, appreciate it. I'm still weighing options. Plus, if I quit my job, how could I throw away all my money on Super Chats? I didn't think about that. That's... okay. That's funny. But yeah, again, I'd be very cautious in putting in your 2 weeks. Ging says, name 5 countries. Paraguay, Uruguay. I'll give you 2. SX says, are you cool? I try to be. Thank you, Save You, for the plastic flowers. Joe Bart says, rate my profile picture. Boring AI slop. Is that AI? Maybe it's real. Logan says, sniff my... I'm not interested. Alexander says, can I ask you a question? You already have. Justin says, was Tongue Sahur a good person? I don't know. Way the Zombie says, name 1 ocean. The Atlantic. Everett says, rate my profile picture. 1, looks terrible. Thank you, Save You again, for the flower, and Drowned for the clutch. Finley says, are you straight? Yes, I am. Jeloni says, that red flower is a peony. What does that mean? A phony? Well, looking at it, it looks artificial. It looks plastic. It looks like it comes from the dollar store. Pyora says, rate my profile picture. I don't like Epstein. Levin says, if you don't want to recreate I Show Me, you could use a hot dog instead of the real thing. That's a good idea. I wonder if anyone's already done that. That sounds like an idea to get viral. James says, hi. Hello, James. Salvar says, do you like femboys or tomboys? Tomboys. Fake says, hi. Can you buy me a Nipoji mini gaming PC Ryzen? No, I can't. Cool says, am I a cool guy? Yeah. I can tell from your username. Jaden says, rate my profile picture. A baby, that's cute. Thank you, Christina, for the 20 Chuck E. Cheese coins. Aaron says, do you hope God exists? Do I hope the God from the Bible exists? No, because I'd go to hell then. Clixified says, do you like cats or dogs better? Dogs. Cool says, no way. Okay. Thank you, Tap, for the preschool star. Sweet says, how did you get the idea to do this? Well, to be honest, I saw people just fresh-faced, just like streamers like me, just doing nothing and getting money. So that kind of inspired me to do it myself. Maddox says, give me a song to play on the drums. What is it called? The first song in the Nevermind album. Radiant says, hi. Hello, Radiance. Pickle says, Zuzu for life. Okay. Fire says, what is your favorite Pokemon? Mewtwo. 1 second. Z says rate my profile picture, 1. Little says remember that time when the dinosaurs went extinct? The Earth was Dawn's. Oh yeah. Actually not oh yeah, I don't get it. Racing says name a car for an edit, Honda Civic. Drow says what's question do you hate to get asked the most? I don't like do you remember me? I hate that question. Colette says hello, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Bentley says how are you? I'm good, thank you. Mabley says what year did you start your channel? I started streaming in September. Milton says Michael Jackson or Eminem? Michael Jackson, obviously. Saturn says what's your favorite planet? Saturn, the rings are cool. Kendall says God loves you? Question mark. I heard he loves everyone. Jessica says are you depressed? No. Lee says is air still under the table? Yeah. You say that though as if it's a human. It's not a human, it's just particles. Christine says do you know P1? No, I don't. No. Jaden says rate my profile picture. Oh, that's sad. Kai says rate my profile picture. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm looking as to who to raid. I think I found a guy. Okay. Rate my profile picture. Roblox, I give it a 1. Drow says, do you have fun streaming? I do. Audie says, rate my profile picture. Cool Lizard. 2K says, rate my profile picture. I don't know. I don't know that guy. I guess it's well framed. Chris says, have you or ever planned to see the Odyssey? Yeah, I want to see it. Kook says, eat a fucking Mento now right now. Tree Monkey says, Levin, carry me to Mythic and Brawl, please. Maybe he will. JX says, I'm excited for the raid. Me too. Maybe says, do you have a celebrity crush? I don't. Sunk says, do you ever watch the videos people make of you? Occasionally, but not often. Family says, what's 47 times 2? That's 94. Astrid says, the Odyssey was such a good movie. Yeah, I'll probably watch it. Brad says, sup Donald, less than 3 minutes left. So quickly, give me a life update. I mean, I don't give life updates. I'm mysterious. Stumble says, rate my profile picture, 1. Amber says, sea sheep are awesome. I don't know what that is. Celestial says, is this your main job? I don't talk about my job. Cool Short says, I'm so happy he read my thing. You're welcome. NR says, Diddy or Kanye? Kanye. Droopy says, rate my profile picture. I think it's... the sunshine is a little corny, in my opinion. Levin says, Tree Monkey, message me on Discord. There you go. Sassy says, what's your opinion on YXL Salah? I don't know what that is. Ali says, Folk Valley. Okay. Maybe says, Water Break. I'm not thirsty, though. Hey says, Ray 8, my Pepe. Nobody knows what you're saying. Lou says, what is your opinion on the voices in my walls? My opinion is that you need medication. Kyoto says, why is one of my gay? Looking at your profile and your name, you give off gay vibes. No offense. No offense. Cash says, TikTok or YouTube? YouTube. Olive says, why am I addicted to the stream when it's like getting electrocuted sometimes? I don't know. I'm sorry to do this, but I'm gonna extend the timer by 5 minutes, and then we'll raid someone. Sorry, I just need more time. Sigma says, check your locks. No comment. Jay says, rate my profile picture. Oh, that's cute, the moon. Levin says, do you remember the did you hear about all of tree chats? Yeah, that was a trend in my chat a long time ago. Ghost says, I'm ready for the raid. Awesome. But yeah, let me add... 1 second, please. I'm sorry, but I have to add 5 more minutes. And then we'll do the raid, I'm sorry. It's Chrissy says, how old are you? I'm, adult. Noah says, do you like Michael Jackson? I do. But again, in 5 minutes, we're going to raid a streamer. And the streamer we're raiding, he's similar to me. He just reads chats all day. We're similar. Little says, rate your own profile picture. 6. Olive says, untrustworthy Dawn. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking to get an assistant to help me find people to raid so I don't have to do it myself. And I won't have to extend the timer anymore. The Island says, you look like Lebanon. Okay. Ronan says, anal sex again. We had it last night. No, we didn't. Red Dead says, do you like Red Dead Redemption 2? Yeah. It's a very expansive game. Nyla says, are we raiding you? No. That wouldn't make any sense. King says, hey, hello, King. NR says, how many people did you run over? I don't run over anyone. Ramon says, you don't actually have to add time. Do a 24-hour stream. No, we're going to be raiding in 5 minutes. Anna says, rate my profile picture. 1. By the way, Ramon, you may be foreshadowing something. Your bro says, rate my profile picture. That I don't know how to describe what your profile makes me feel. Steve says, titty. Okay. Robert says, I can help with finding streamers. I mean, I don't trust you. I'd want a long-time viewer to help me. Gunner says, rate my profile picture. 1. Kareem says, is Ramon your brother? No comment. Bagels says, shout out maybe? No. I hate you. Levin says, it would be funny if you got raped on stream. No, it wouldn't. Radiant says, I'm down. You're down for what? Cool says, I know you hate it, but can you rate my profile picture? I like the simplicity. By the way, again, Exo says, what's a raid? We are going to go leave this stream and go to a small streamer stream and surprise them. Jay says, I got a streamer. I already found a streamer for this stream. Net says, how was your night? Good. Frosty says, stable Ronaldo or the real Ronaldo? The real one. Steve says, my bad. I didn't think you would read that. Okay, no problem. James says, you said James, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Droopy says, keep yourself safe. I will. Levin says, come on, last 5 minutes, whip it out. No. By the way, in 3 minutes, we are going to raid a streamer. Be nice, obey their chat rules, have a conversation. Don't just spam raid. Stumble says yes. Okay. An alien says, hi Shung, something something. Okay. Radiant says, I'm down to find people to raid. I've seen your lives since February. The thing is, though, you need to be, like, you need to be in my streams also, like, while I'm streaming. Strawberry says, do you remember me? I do not. Enver says, rate my profile picture. I don't like the black part at the top. Booper says, rate my, oh hey, that's me. That's cool. Legend says, why do you always private your lives? I don't private them. Vortex says, the rise of Gru. Okay. Trip says, fun fact, dinosaurs can't roar, really? Kay says, how do you know if someone is a hobo rat? No comment. Pibble says, the word of raid should be bagel. No, that's stupid. Jolina says, Dawn, how about me? No, I think I would want someone who's around my age range, like a young person. Radiant says, what are your streams time zones? Well, the time I'm streaming right now is the time I usually stream. Bald says, do you remember me? Yes. Cameron says, rate my profile picture. So boring and I don't know what's going on. Fun says, you're racist. No, I'm not. Loon says, when we raid, can we spam League of Positivity? No. That's already been done before by someone else. Mike says, sup. Hello, Mike. Levin says, privates. What? Jack says, what YouTuber? You'll find out. Robert says, favorite food? The cheeseburger. Jana says, rate my profile picture. No comment. Stumbler says, rate Epstein. No. Your girl says, do you remember me? No, I don't. By the way, the streamer rating is similar. He seems like a guy where you can just tell or ask him anything, so just do what you do here, but in his stream. Not my real, says Glorp. Okay. Quack says, hey man, hello Quack. Aereo says, did you know that giraffes can't eat moons? I did not know that. Blank says, isn't this overly stimulating? No. God Love says, I've never been raiding. Is it fun? I mean, sometimes. Username says, do you remember me? No. Levin says, can I ask him to recreate I Show Meet? I would prefer if you didn't. Radiant says, yeah, sorry. Doesn't fit my available time zone. Okay. Funny says, rate my profile picture. I don't want to. Parma2 says, are you misgendering them? He's a male. Fishing says, what's up? Stranger Things. I don't watch that. I hate that. Dark says, yo, I'm gay. That's cool, Dark. Family says, how old would you be if you was born 7 years ago? No comment. Way the Zombie says, you don't remember username? OMG. Funny. G Richie says, who we're raiding. There'll be a button at the bottom of the screen which you can click and it'll take you to the raid. Jay says, would you rather make me mod or fa a dude? The former. Robert says, why do you start streaming? Money. Danger says, can he use OBS? He's not using OBS. Anyways, we're doing the raid. In just a second, there's going to be a button. Click that button to join the raid. If you don't see the button, go to my channel post. See you in the raid.